Good afternoon to everybody here in this session on utilization of RCH services during pandemic. And I'm really happy to be in this group because all of you are my former colleagues. So I'm really happy to be in this session. So I welcome all of you for this presentation. So I think everybody is here. Professor Basir Bhatt is there, and Professor Jyoti is here, and Deepak Das is there, and Dr. Dilip Kumar is there. So I think we have for all the 6 presentations, everybody is there. I think we can start. So, and this is the, this session we have planned because we all know that, during the pandemic, our life got affected in various dimensions. And of course, health is one of the very important dimensions that our health got, the COVID has affected us. And COVID has affected us in various ways. One may be on the demand side, because we feared to go to the health facilities thinking that we may catch COVID. That's the demand side. But the supply side also, it got affected because supplies were mostly diverted towards COVID activities, and all the, the essential services got affected. And WHO has, already identified and it recognized that COVID has, influenced the service provisions related to reproductive health, maternal health, newborn care, and vaccination and nutrition services. So certainly COVID has an impact on the lives of us, particularly for the maternal and child health care. It's a very crucial issue. You cannot postpone that. So it has got affected, and I'm really very happy that all the PRCs have come together to study the impact of COVID on reproductive and child health services. Really happy, and really happy that also PRC is IIPS is also involved in this exercise. So during the training which was organized for the PRCs, so this theme has emerged, and I thank Professor Usharam for coordinating with the PRCs, and I thank all the PRCs who have participated in this study. And certainly we are eager to listen to the PRCs regarding the impact of COVID on RCH services. So we have Professor Dhananjay here. He will be a discussant, and he's already there. And we have Dr. Suresh Jungari as a reporter. Dr. Suresh, you are already there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, good. So we all of us are present, so we can start. Now I call the first presenter, Professor Usharam, to give a background for this study. And also, I think she is going to present the profile of the respondents. Professor Usharam, you can take, as we have discussed, 15 minutes, and the rest of the presenters can take 10 minutes each, so that we can finish the session on time, because we have another session at 5:30, the plenary session. Some of us would like to attend that session also, so we should complete this session before 5:30. So Professor Usharam, you can start here.
Thank you, Professor Nagarajan. Can you all see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you. So once again, thank you, Dr. Nagarajan, as chair of this session. And we are very excited to present the finding of our work to this group, because I believe this is the kind of a unique experiment that we have done for the first time, wherein IIPS and PRCs have come together on a voluntary basis to undertake a study as a joint effort, and without any financial implications to any institution. And that's the beauty of this effort, actually. So with that little background, I would just want to list out the PRCs which are part of this collaboration. This is PRC Dharwad, PRC Guwahati, PRC Srinagar, PRC Patna, and PRC Pune. And IIPS is the technical collaborator of the work. So how this whole collaboration came into being? As you very rightly pointed out, that IIPS organized a short-term training program, series of training programs actually to the PRC official upon the request of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And the idea was to build the capacity of PRC officials in various aspects of undertaking scientific research, starting from conceptualization to the publication and scientific writing and so on and so forth. So in one of the training programs that was conducted as a part of that series was on designing of the survey instruments. And it was during this training program that the course coordinators discussed with the participating PRCs if they would be willing to join hands together to undertake a study on a common theme across the PRCs. And for that, yes, at that initial stage, many PRCs showed interest, but eventually the number went down, and for some reasons known to most of us, mainly because of the manpower issues in the PRC. So why this collaboration, and what would it do to what is new about this collaboration? First thing, as all of us know, and some of us have been part of PRC, as Dr. Nagarajan said, I myself was a part of PRC for good more than 5 years actually. And we know that the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare gives a list of common studies to be undertaken by the PRCs on an annual basis. And often we also notice that whenever the PRCs undertake the studies, even though it is on a common theme and with common objectives, the study design and tools and methods are used differently by different PRCs. And that makes the studies difficult to compare across different populations or states. So the first idea was that if we can come up with the standardized tools and methods that can be used for the studies which are routinely conducted by the PRCs across PRCs, and that would enable us a comparative study of the results across different state populations without any additional cost. So the whole idea was driven with this center focus. And also we would be able to not only just compare the results, but come up with interventions based on findings emerging from another state for another state. So this is the way we looked at that this collaboration is a unique and would help probably deliver the PRCs better outcomes in future. What is the value addition? As I said, yes, it is a unique collaboration wherein we are experimenting to the use standard tools and designs for data collection. And also, I think another important aspect is that we do a lot of training, we participate in a lot of training, but we don't really know what happens at the end after the participation. How much are we able to translate those learning into the real practices? So this platform was in a sort of experiment to realize how much of this training that we have given to the PRC officials over more than a 1 month period actually can be translated into the real learnings which they can use into their day-to-day routine work. So this is the way I looked at it. And as a result, as I said earlier, many PRCs showed interest, but when we began the formal collaboration, several PRCs have offered to join in the collaboration. One PRC Bangalore had to withdraw because of the manpower issues and other priorities that they had already committed to before undertaking this collaboration. And PRC Kerala could not conduct the work in the state because they did not get permission from the state authorities to undertake the study. Other 5 PRCs continued with the participation. In this presentation, we would not be able to include the results of Pune PRC simply because of the pandemic issues, their data collection work got delayed. So they have only completed the data entry, but we weren't able to do the analysis and validation of the data. Therefore, we decided to exclude their findings from this presentation. So although we have the data collected in 5 PRCs, but here in this presentation, we will be discussing about the data from 4 PRCs, that is Dharwad, Jammu, Kashmir, Patna, and Assam. Okay, so how do we select the theme? As we know that the ministry gives the list of the themes to the different PRCs. So we chose one of the themes which was we felt was very relevant to the current pandemic, which was the utilization of RCS services. Although we should have ideally looked at both supply and demand side of the RCH utilization, but in the interest of time and the given framework for the collaboration, we decided to only look at the supply side of the aspects and not look at the demand aspects of the utilization of RCS services during pandemic. So that's one limitation that has to be kept in mind. So we will be only talking about the supply side and not the demand side. What are the specific objectives? 2 key objectives: utilization of RS services, in which we cover antenatal, natal, and post-care services. contraceptive services, including RTIs and STIs, and abortion services. Then the second objective is to look into the utilization of child health services, which includes immunization coverage, immunization services, treatment and services during child morbidity and illness during the pandemic, and the uptake of nutrition and ICD services during the pandemic. It was decided to conduct the study for 500 women in one district. This 500 number was reached after doing the sample size calculation using standard procedures, which ranged from 290 to around 480 for different districts. So together we decided to fix the number 500 across all the PRCs. So this was selected for undertaking the work in each state. And in each state, we implemented the study only in one district selected by the PRCs as per their convenience and other scientific criteria. So the distribution of the sample across rural and urban was based on the census proportion of urban population in 2011 for the district that the study was implemented. And the data was collected by two modes: face-to-face interviews wherever possible, otherwise telephonic interviews. The study interviewed women aged 15 to 49 years, regardless of their marital status as well as the reproductive status. And the study used self-weighted design, and we followed a mixed method approach. So for sample selection in rural areas, like NFHS and other standard surveys that we do, we have used multi-stage sampling design. And the details are here, but I'm not going to read them out. This is for the rural areas, and same thing for the urban areas we have used. We have used a women schedule for collecting quantitative data, which includes sections on household characteristics, eligible women characteristics, antenatal, natal, postnatal care, contact with health workers, ICDS workers during pandemic, separate sections for currently pregnant women, women who had abortion, stillbirths and live births was there. Then we had a separate section on contraception, immunization, child health, and utilization of ICDS services. For qualitative method, we used case studies, and these case studies were selected based on the experiences related to abortion, unsafe abortions, unintended pregnancies, no immunization for child, difficulties faced by the women or the children during when they're seeking antenatal, natal, postnatal care, or facing morbidity as mortality, etc. So for each of these case studies, different types, we have prepared guidelines for collecting information in the field. The schedule was bilingual, which is in regional language and in English. Data collection was done by the field research teams of the PRCs. Field teams were, although they are trained investigators, but they were specifically trained for 2 days for the tools used for this specific studies. The period of data collection was from November to February 2020 to February 2021. The data entry was done in CS Pro, and we did double data entry, and data analysis was undertaken in SPSS and Stata, because some of the PRCs don't have access to Stata, so they analyze the data in SPSS. So now coming to the background characteristics of the surveyed women. So a total of 2016 women from the 4 PRCs were surveyed. Of these, 641 in urban areas and 1375 in the rural areas. We interviewed about half, I would say, of the women face-to-face and half through telephonic interviews. The face-to-face interviews were more common in rural areas than they were in urban areas. The population surveyed was across these 4 PRCs was 12,639, and the overall sex ratio of the population was 972 men per 1,000 women. Coming to the basic amenities and the profile of the households. So about 54% of the surveyed women, they lived in Pakka houses. Over 59% had access to piped drinking water in their homes. 81% had access to flush or poured flush toilets. 88% of them had access, they used clean fuel for domestic cooking. 67% of the households in which these women resided, they had a designated area for hand washing. The uptake of these new 2 schemes that were launched during the pandemic, which is eSanjeevani online services for medicine consultancy, and Nimhan's helpline for managing mental stress. Their uptake was virtually minimum, less than 1% in both cases. 1/3 each of the households they live in low, medium, and high tertiaries. We created tertiaries. The share of women who live in the medium SLI households was much higher in urban areas than it was in rural areas. Coming to the socio-demographic characteristics of the eligible women, the mean age of the interviewed women was 26.7 years, slightly higher in urban areas, about 30 years, and 28 years in rural areas. The median years of schooling was 10 years, and it did not change in rural and urban areas. It was same. The distributions are given in the table, which I'm not spelling out individually. The majority of the surveyed women were Hindus and belong to general category. As you can see, 57% in the non-SC, ST, and OBC category. There were state variations because we are not discussing the results here in this presentation for state-specific results. We are only discussing the aggregated results for all 4 states together. 99% of the surveyed women were currently married, as expected, nothing unusual about that. The age at marriage was 10%. 10% of the women we interviewed, they got married before 18 years of age. And this was slightly higher in urban areas, about 13%. About 12% of the women were working at the time of survey. 82% of the women not only owned a bank or a post office account, but also operated the account themselves. Another about 13% of the women did own the account, but they never operated the account. So this is about work status and economic empowerment of the women. We also collected information about a couple of characteristics of the husbands of the women. And so one we have presented here is about the work status of husbands of these interviewed women. As we see, 96% of the husbands were working at the time of data collection. Now, this slide gives us the number of cases that we are using for analyzing our utilization of various components of antenatal, natal, and other services that we intend to investigate in this study. So if you look at the number of live births that we have gathered information during the pandemic period, was 857 in 4 states together. A total of 39 stillbirths were listed during the reference period, which was from March 2019 to the survey date, that is after the onset of pandemic to the date of survey. The number of abortion cases, stillbirths were 10 in urban areas and 29 in rural areas. Number of abortions were 27 in urban areas and 58 in rural areas, together totaling to 85 cases in all 4 states. There were 368 women in these 4 states together who were pregnant at the time of data collection. Of them, 79 were in urban areas and 289 in the rural areas. The number of children from whom the information about immunization uptake is collected was 857, of which 196 were in urban areas and 611 in rural areas. There were 198 children in the urban areas who were eligible for the ICDS services, that is in the Anganwadi centers, attendance, and etc. And 672 women in the children in the urban areas. The whole idea is to show this slide is that we know then in case of stillbirths and abortions particularly, when we are doing the quantitative analysis, we are looking at the numbers which are rather small, and therefore, as originally we also thought about it, that this number anyway is going to be less. So more of this discussion would be actually coming in from our qualitative data, which has been collected, but has not been analyzed yet. So on these 2 aspects, we probably would be able to give a little less information about the uptake of services and the issues around the utilization of the different services by each subgroup of the population. So with that, thank you very much. I request now Professor Bashir Bhatt to make his presentation on the utilization of antenatal care services from the study. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for Susharan for completing the presentation on time. So now we will move to the next presentation, and we will take the question answers towards the end after hearing from all the presenters. Because by the time we will be hearing,
Absolutely.
the whole findings about the study. Yeah. Yeah, Professor Bashir, you can start your presentation.
Yeah. Professor Nagarajan.
Bashir, go to slide presentation mode. Yeah.
Yeah, I have gone. My slide is visible. Hello.
Visible.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you, Professor Usha, for giving a wonderful background of the study. I have been given the responsibility to present the findings pertaining to the antenatal care services utilization during COVID-19 pandemic. As Usha has discussed that we collected information from the women who were currently pregnant at the time of survey, and also about the women who had given a live birth since January 2019. So my presentation would be based particularly on these two groups of women. First of all, we collected information about the pregnancy registration. Almost 98% of the women, both currently pregnant women and women who had delivered a live birth since January 2019, had registered their pregnancies for antenatal care service. And majority of these women, almost 92%, had registered in the first semester, and 83% of the women among the live births and almost 89% among the women who were currently pregnant had registered in a government health facility. Only very few women had not registered in the first trimester, and we tried to ascertain the reasons. They gave us different reasons, and those reasons were categorized into COVID-related and non-COVID-related. But only 3-4% women gave the reasons related to the COVID that they were not in a position to register in the system. There are not much rural and urban differences on these indicators, but so far as the states are concerned, we had 4 states. Patna has the lowest registration in the first site, and Jammu and Kashmir has the highest registration. Karnataka has the lowest registration in the government health facilities. We collected information about the women who had at least 4 ANC visits. Among the live births, 84% of the women had at least 4 or more ANC visits, but this percentage was just 43% among the currently pregnant women. And we also collected information what various services were rendered to these women who had registered for ANC, and almost every woman who had visited a health facility for ANC, they got their abdomen checked, their weight was taken, blood sugar, blood pressure was also checked. One important component which was added during this COVID pandemic was the testing of COVID, and 36% of the women who had delivered a live birth and 52% of the women who were currently pregnant had been tested for COVID. And HIV testing was 95% for live births and 78% for pregnant women. But the lowest and more is testing for COVID-19 again. Pulwama, Dalwad, located in the Kalna and Pulwama, in JN, highest HIV testing during pregnancy, Assam had the lowest one. Had to provided 100 plus tablets during pregnancy, and we also collected information on this and at least and on TT injection. Almost every woman who was registered had received 100 plus IFA tablets. There was no and also the injection reported
Professor Bashir, can you can Professor Bashir, we have some.
Yeah, Bashir ji.
You can put off your video and only you
Switch
can
off
present
your
through
video.
audio
Yeah, so
because
that the connectivity will be better.
services.
Bashir ji, you please mute your video so that the connectivity will be better. Otherwise, your voice is not audible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Bashir sir's internet connection maybe.
No, I have just informed him to switch off his video and I'm sure he has done that. So I hope things would be better now. Nagarajan, if you want, maybe we can go to the next if you think that helps.
Okay, let us see. Maybe we can wait for at least
Okay. Up to
1
you.
minute. Yeah, at least 1 minute we will wait and then
Sure, no problem.
this presentation is off.
Maybe sir left the meeting.
He may be trying to log in back. I'm calling him again.
Yeah.
बशीर भाई लॉग इन दोबारा कीजिए आप चले गई मीटिंग से बाहर तो आप अब बताओ अभी दूसरे को बोल दें आप अपना कंटिन्यू करने का ट्राई करोगे Okay. So Nagarajan, but suggest whether we can take the next person because he is facing internet problem.
Okay, so
He can come back later when the things gets resolved.
Yeah. So we can go to Sri Prasad. I think Sri Prasad is already logged in. So we can, so now I request Sri Prasad to make his presentation on utilization of natal and postnatal care services. Sri Prasad, you can come with your video if you have a good network. Yeah.
Hello
Please
sir.
share your screen.
Just click on the share button and select the screen 1 and open your PPT. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Your PPT is visible to us, sir. Continue, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are very much clearly audible. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Respected Chair, Professor Nagarajan, Professor Ushara Madam, Professor Jyoti Madam, and all my dear colleagues. So the topic is natal and postnatal care service utilization.
Sri Prasad. Dr. Sri Prasad.
Yeah, yes, sir. 1 minute. There is some small issue.
Okay.
Slide 9
Please.
change over, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you slightly minimize? We are not able to see the full slide. Just
They're not able to see the full slide.
the zoom, reduce the zoom level little bit. Oh, fine, fine. We can see. We can see.
Yeah. Sorry. So delivery at a public health facility of 4/5 of stillbirth took place in public health facility. Less than half of the abortion took place in a public health facility, that is by 30% in urban areas. 1/3 or fewer women discharged from the facility on the same day of post-abortion. These percentages were 15% for stillbirths and 7% for live births, and such percentage was more in urban area than the rural areas. Regarding C-section deliveries were 47% for live births and 18% of the stillbirths, which was lower in urban areas. Over 67% spent more than 1,500 rupees on abortion, and 53 to 58% spent more than 1,500 rupees on deliveries in case of stillbirth or live birth. More women in urban areas than rural areas spent more than 1,500 rupees in case of live birth. Home deliveries and reasons for home deliveries. 9 out of 87 abortions, that is around 10%, and 1 of 40 stillbirths, that is 3%, and 5 out of 874, that is 0.06% of live births occurred at home. None of the stillbirths and live births took place at home were actually assisted by professionals. Reasons for not delivering in a health facility, pandemic related. Abortion, under abortion, not necessary was the most commonly reported reason, and one woman reasoned due to pandemic family related and another due to pandemic facility related. Under stillbirth, no staff at facility was the reason. However, it was non-pandemic. Under live birth, 2 women reasoned pandemic family related and 1 reasoned pandemic facility related reason. Lack of money was not at all reported as a reason for home delivery or abortion. Complications during delivery and post-delivery related to stillbirth. 12.5% of women actually experienced one or the other delivery complications, and it was more in rural than the urban areas. The commonly reported complications were excessive bleeding and prolonged labor as a delivery complications for stillbirth. And over 35% of women actually experienced post-delivery complications related to stillbirth. Over 68% faced serious complications and marginally less, that was around 63%, faced common complications. And such complications were more in rural than urban areas. Further, complications experienced during delivery related to live birth. Over 17% of women faced one or the other delivery complications related to live birth and was more in urban area than the rural areas. Among the types of complications is concerned, most commonly reported were excessive bleeding, blood pressure, breech, and prolonged labor. Coming to experienced post-delivery complications related to live birth, over 13% experienced post-delivery complications and was more in rural areas than urban areas. Among the types of complications most commonly reported were bleeding, swelling on legs, body, face, and low blood pressure, etc. Difficulties experienced in seeking treatment for post-delivery complications, whether it is a stillbirth or live birth. No women reportedly experienced difficulty in seeking treatment for post-delivery complications as such. Regarding abortion, 2 of 10 women who experienced post-abortion complications faced difficulties while seeking treatment. 1 each in rural and urban areas, both from Guwahati, that is from Assam state. For both, difficulty was COVID-19 facility related issue. Coming to received postnatal care, a checkup and place of postnatal care. It is witnessed over 54% cases of abortion, 80% of stillbirths, and 54% of live births had postnatal checkup, and over 19% of abortion cases and 57% of stillbirths and 49% of live births had first postnatal checkup within 24 hours of delivery. Furthermore, 66% of abortions, 91% of stillbirth cases, and 68% of live births had postnatal checkup in a public health facility. This is quite interesting to note, and such proportion was more in urban areas than rural areas. Coming to the quality of postnatal care, over 96% of abortion, 88% of stillbirth, and 91% of live birth had postnatal checkup from a doctor. This is actually very interesting as well as attractive figure to note down. Such proportion was more in urban area for stillbirth and live birth as well. Further, 66% of stillbirth cases and around 41% of live births had postnatal checkup within 2 weeks of delivery. And over 87% of stillbirths and 51% of live births had 2 or more postnatal checkup within 2 months of delivery. This is the proportion of women actually who had received JSY benefits. As a whole, 10% of women who had stillbirth and around 44% of live birth who had 44% of women who had live birth had actually received JSY benefits. Actually, this is quite less. The percentage received JSY was highest in Pulwama district of Jammu Kashmir and lowest in Dharwad from Karnataka state. So some of the key messages: majority of the stillbirths and live births occurred in a public health facility. Nearly half of live births were C-sectional. Notable proportion of women spent significant amount on delivery. 2 abortions and 3 live births occurred at home due to pandemic-related reasons. Regarding stillbirth, 13% of women experienced complications during delivery and 35% as far as post-delivery was concerned. Regarding live birth, 17% of women mentioned complications during delivery and over 13% post-delivery issue. No women are actually had faced difficulties while seeking treatment for complications as such. As far as abortion was concerned, 2 women faced difficulties due to pandemic to get treatment for post-abortion complications. Nearly half of the women did not get postnatal care after live birth or abortion was concerned. Most PNC checkup were done at public health facility and by a professional, that was by a doctor. Thank you. Thank you for patience listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr.
Sir.
Sri Prasad, for presenting.
Bashir Bhatt sir has
Yeah.
joined again.
Okay, then we will finish Dr. Bashir's presentation. Yeah, Professor Bashir, you can go
Okay,
ahead
sir.
and you can share your presentation.
Please allow me to share here.
Yes, sir, is allowed.
Yeah. So I was yeah. So I had just reached about the proportion of women who had received services from a public health facility. Around 72% of the women with a live birth had utilized most of the services from a government health facilities, and even among the currently pregnant women, 78% had, yeah.
Your PPT is not visible.
But I have shared it.
Yeah,
No, we
it
can
is
see
visible
it.
to us, but
We can
just
see it.
Yeah, we can see there is in some corner,
We
there
can
is some
see it.
issue. Yeah, but you can go ahead. You can go ahead,
Yeah.
Professor Bashir. Yeah.
Okay. So among the currently pregnant women, 78% of the women had received most of the services from a government health facilities. Higher percentage of currently pregnant women in Dharwad, followed by Pulwama. Guwahati had ultrasound done during pregnancy. This was the lowest in Patna. Higher percentage of women in Guwahati, followed by Pulwama, and Patna and Dharwad received most of the ANC services from a public health facility. Yeah. So far as the difficulty faced in the utilization of ANC services are concerned, around 20% of the women had faced difficulties in getting ANC services, and 16%. And these reasons were categorized into 2 categories. One was the COVID-related reasons from the family side, and another was the COVID-related reasons from the facility side. Among their live births, 87.5% of the women attributed the difficulties faced due to the facility side, and higher proportion of women with a live birth in Pulwama faced difficulties in getting ANC. This share was lower in Patna. Difficulties faced due to COVID from family side was highest in Guwahati, and difficulties faced in getting ANC due to COVID from facility side was highest in Pulwama and Dalwad. So far as the pregnancy complications are concerned, 1/5 of women, both currently pregnant and women with a live birth, experienced complications during pregnancy. These complications were higher in urban areas, and among the states, they were higher in Dalwad, followed by Pulwama. 1/3 of women suffered from serious complications such as convulsions, bleeding, abnormal fetus movement, and vaginal bleeding. And these serious complications were more common among rural women, in Pulwama for currently pregnant women, and in Patna for live births. 62 to 71% of the women suffered from common complications such as swelling, vomiting, headache, and weakness. And the portion of such women was higher in the urban areas and in Dalwad and Pulwama. Only a handful of women did not receive treatment for these pregnancy complications, and majority did visit a health facility for the treatment of these complications. About 90% of the women were contacted either by a health provider or by a ICDS worker during the pregnancy. And proportion of such women was lower in urban areas and in Bihar. 75% of the women with a live birth received supplementary nutrition from the ICDS center during pregnancy for most of the days. And this was 55% for the currently pregnant women. Fewer women in urban areas received supplementary nutrition, and higher percentage of women in Guwahati and Dalwad received supplementary nutrition. Least percentage of women in Pulwama received supplementary nutrition from an Anganwadi center. 70% of women with a live birth and 39% among currently pregnant women did not receive supplementary nutrition due to COVID-related issues. And most of them were from the urban areas, and higher proportion of women in Patna and Dalwad attributed non-receipt of supplementary nutrition to COVID reasons. Ashas visited 82% of the women who had a live birth during COVID pandemic. Almost 75 to 80% women were contacted by Asha during COVID pandemic. This percentage was much lower in Patna. Ashas helped almost 90% of the women for a service during the pandemic period. 55 to 61% of the women received some medicines from Asha, and this percentage was much higher for rural women as compared to the urban women. Ashas also helped in arranging transportation for 60% of the women. This was 98% in Guwahati, but less than 5% of the women in Pulwama district of J&K and Bihar, Patna were helped by an Asha in getting transportation. In 2/3 cases, Ashas accompanied women to a health facility, but again, very low percentage of women that is 17% were helped by an ASHA in Pulwama to accompany to a health facility. ASHAs also played a limited role in Patna and Dhalwad. So the key messages are that significant majority of women did register for ANC services, and that too in the first trimester. Majority received ANC services from their public health facilities. Significant minority of women faced difficulties in obtaining ANC services during pandemic. However, they managed to overcome these difficulties but received the services. Women experienced pregnancy complications. Almost all sought treatment for complications. ASHAs and other health workers have played a very important role in providing and facilitating utilization of healthcare services in need during COVID pandemic. With this, I thank you all for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Basir, for making a neat presentation. And yeah, so now we will move to the next presentation, utilization of family planning services during COVID-19 pandemic. So now I request Dr. Deepak Das to make his presentation.
Yes, sir. I'm going to present.
Yeah, please. Sir, I am audible? Yes, yes, you are audible and your slides are visible, so you can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Respected Professor Nagarajan, Professor Usam ma'am, and all participants. I am Deepak Das from Guwahati PRC. Now I am going to present the assessment of utilization of family planning services during COVID-19 pandemic. My first slide is important current use of family planning method. Of the all surveyed women, about 58% of the women ever did something to delay or avoid getting the pregnant. Of the non-pregnant surveyed women, 54% reported using a family planning method at the time of the survey. Current non-use are found in rural areas. Okay. Current use by method related. Family sterilization, most used method, about 41%, followed by Nirud, 28%, and is about 19%. Over 10% women reported using IUD. 13% women reported using epidural method. In state-specific comparison, male sterilizations found more in Bihar. This slide is representing the source of spacing method during pandemic. 40% of the users obtained modern method from a public health facility. 1/3 of the women reported that their husband or friend got the method. More women in the urban areas obtained a method from private sector. In state-specific comparison, more women in Pulwama, that is JNK, got the method from the public sources. Lowest is found in Patna, that is Bihar. And more women in Dharwad, that is Karnataka, got from private sources. And this slide representing experienced difficulties experienced difficulty during the pandemic. 6% of the women reported facing difficulty in obtaining the method during pandemic. Percentage of the women experienced difficulties was higher in urban areas, that is 8%, compared to rural areas, that is less than 5%. No women experienced any difficulty in Pulwama, Jammu and Kashmir, and Dharwad, that is Karnataka. Urban areas' main difficulties were non-availability of the doctor, non-availability of the health worker, and scared to visit the facility. In rural areas, movement restricted and stress due to the COVID-19 protocol were the main difficulties. Women experienced side effect of the method. 7% of the women reported that experienced side effect of the method they used. More women in the urban areas, that is 10%, than the rural women reported experienced side effects. Higher percentage of the women in Dharwad, that is the Karnataka, reported experienced side effect in In this regard, lowest is found in Patna, Bihar. And this slide presenting the size of the side effects of the method. About 39% of the women suffered from the cramping pelvic pain, and this is followed by irregular bleeding, that is at 28%. Another about 20% women which reported they gained the weight, had NC, and got infection after they started using method. 9 to 10% of the women had nausea or hair loss due to the method use. However, over 86% of the women who suffered from the side effect sought treatment for the same, and where 88% in urban areas and 85% in rural areas. Data are not shown here. This is the main reasons for non-use of method. In this figure, we found that the personal preference is the main reasons during the pandemic. However, it is also found that this is the 1% issue related to pandemic. About 1% women expressed that due to the pandemic related issue, they are not using the any contraceptive method currently. So, though it is a negligible percentage, we cannot deny that the pandemic has not any relation to the reasons for current non-use. Women who experience menstruation problem during pandemic. A little over 6% of the women reported that they suffered from the menstrual problems during the pandemic. Majority of them sought treatment for the problem. It is about 80%. Main reasons for not seeking treatment for the menstruation problem. About 77% did not seek treatment as they did not consider the problem as severe, higher in the urban areas, that is the 88%. 18% attributed fear of COVID infection as the reason for the same. Money spent on modern spacing method. A significant proportion of the women were not able to recall the cost of obtaining the method during the pandemic. However, 35% got the method for free. And here is some key messages. Female sterilization, most used method, followed by the condom and pill. Majority users got modern spacing method from a public health facility during the pandemic. 1/3 got from husband or friends. 6% women face difficulties in obtaining method during pandemic. 7% women experience side effect of the method. Majority of them got treatment. 1% of the current non-user attributed non-use to pandemic situation. 6% women suffered from menstrual problems during the pandemic. Majority got treatment. A few did not treat due to the pandemic. So Thank you, sir. This is my e-message, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deepak Das, for completing your presentation on time. Now we may move to the next presentation. Next presentation is on utilization of immunization services during COVID-19. So I call upon Dr. Dilip Kumar from PIC Patna to make the presentation. Dr. Dilip, you can start your presentation. Dr. Dilip? Dr. Dilip, what happened?
He's not seen only in the list, Nagarajan. No, he's seen now.
Hello, audible? I am.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes, now sharing the slides. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It is a good opportunity to see Professor Nagarajan ji, our Professor Usha Ram, that having a very good opportunity to collect all PRC platform coming to the IEPS and to do the study on this pandemic versus RCS services like that. So this is my presentation. I am Dilip from Patna and presenting that one on the immunization section. There are some data collected by the all.
Sir, your
some of the
PPT is not
PRC.
visible to us.
Just a moment.
Hello, sir. Is there any issue?
Yes.
Okay, sir. It is visible. Okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Continue.
Oh. So this one assessment of this one utilization of RCS during COVID-19 pandemic, utilization of child immunization services. This Ford PRC collected the data as earlier told Professor Sisaram, and Pune is also there to submit the things later on. So the age of the child 0 to 6, 7 to 12, or more than 12 months have been collected. On that, this is 196. This one we have taken from the urban areas, from rural areas 611, and the total is 857 children have been covered in the by the Ford PRC in the study. Of that, 59% of the children is 12 to 20 months were fully immunized, whereas very few of the children did not receive any immunization, vaccination during that period. We have collected that data. And the vaccination for the children received, Guwahati recorded the higher immunization, and Patna, Bihar is the lowest one. This one, vaccination for that one. Of course, the rural areas having the vaccination much higher than the urban area. That is the findings in the state. Vaccination at the public health facilities we have covered. Again, here rural areas having the better option for this one, given the immunization vaccination more than the urban areas. More children in rural areas vaccinated. In the public health facility, we have collected that data for the public health facility. Women reporting that place of immunization was not usual place. It has been asked in the survey, and a higher percentage of urban women reported that the place of immunization not usual requires. That is changed there. opportunity to this one. And 00 is more choice like that. Women change immunization place due to facility staff issues during the pandemic. That has been inquired in the survey. And a higher percentage of women in Guwahati and lowest in the Dharwad, Karnataka, attributed this as a reason for changing the place for vaccination of the children due to the pandemic. A few women attributed the change to family planning, change to family and stress-related reasons due to pandemic also. Data has not been shown there. Women were not able to immunize child due to pandemic has also been inquired. This all urban areas were more affected due to pandemic issue, highest in Bihar. This is, we have also during our this one Corona period, we have many news has come. In the Patna, doctors are avoiding the things, other things are coming in. Many their logistic support, PPE kits, other things. They were avoiding. That results coming in our survey also. Women experience difficulty problems in vaccinating child. It has been also been inquired. Rural women experience more difficulties from the facility side. Facility side. Means health services they provided. Guwahati, Assam reported higher percentage and Dharwad, Karnataka lowest. Regions related to COVID pandemic, family side and facility side also been inquired in that survey. Facility side has much more affected than the family side. Health workers visited for child vaccination. That has been inquired. This no one has visited one aspect. Anganwadi workers, ANM, ASA. ASA had a greater role in this pandemic situation, and about 96% of ASA visited the immunization of the child of children. This was highest in Guwahati and lowest in Patna. Though Patna the lowest is, but among the Anganwadi workers, ANM, ASA community, ASA has done better way in providing the services in Patna. And that has recently we have visited the State Health Society. They have a very good impression about the ASA WAS category, how they are working very nicely, efficiently. Than the Anganwadi workers and ANM. Although in the state level the figure is low, but ASA is working better way in Bihar, or we can say in Patna. That sample survey is told like that. Next. Women contacted ASA for child vaccination during pandemic. More than 3/4 of women contacted the ASA for child vaccination in rural areas. They are very much ASA moving around and vaccination in the rural area. They are doing well. In urban areas, only nearly half of the women contacted ASA for such during pandemic period. So ASA has a greater role for the vaccination of the children in the rural areas, whereas in urban areas only half of the ASA is done during the pandemic period. Some of the key findings, key messages: more children in rural areas vaccinated in public health facilities. More women in the urban area reported changing the place of immunization during pandemic. Changing means many things are not availability of doctors, many things. So they were often changing the place here to there. Higher percentage of women in Guwahati and lowest in Dharwad attributed pandemic as a reason for changing the place. Pandemic has given this problem. That's why changing the place in Dharwad is more or less in Karnataka. Urban areas were more affected due to pandemic issues. It was highest in Patna due to the lockdown and health facilities not availability, stress, family stress, other things was much more, and that was frightening and not moving around. That's why in Patna it's the highest. Rural women experience more difficulty for facility side, higher in Guwahati and lowest in Dharwad. About 96% of ASA visited family for child immunization during pandemic. This is for state specific results. Bihar also it is true, but it is higher in Guwahati, but lowest in Patna. But they are working very well in Bihar. That I can say. That is ASA roles in providing the immunization services. Rural areas doing well, did well in the during the pandemic period for the immunization of children in comparison to the urban areas. ASAs were doing well and providing the services in the comparative, though Patna is the lowest and higher side is the Guwahati, but they are providing the service. I can advocacy for these things, you can say. Thank you for this thing. Any comments, suggestions, please tell me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dilip, for completing the presentation on time. And now we will move to the last presentation on utilization of child healthcare and ICDS services. So, Dr. Jyoti Hallad, if you are ready, we can go for the presentation. So, yeah, Dr. Jyoti, you try to complete it in 10 minutes so that we will have some time for discussion.
Sure.
And,
So, can you see my screen now?
It is getting loaded. It is getting loaded. Yeah, we can see your screen. You can go for a presentation mode now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
everything is
good
fine.
evening, everybody. This is my last presentation of this session. Respected chair, discussant, and other 5 presenters of this session, and all the participants, especially from other BRC colleagues and IPS colleagues. In this topic of utilization of RCH services during COVID-19, I'll be dealing with the 2 aspects, that's child health care and ICDS services. About child health, the information was asked from the children below 2 years, that is born from January 1st, 2019 onwards, as the interview was done in January 2020. So it's maximum 2 years period. All the children were asked whether they fell ill during pandemic and what all complications they experienced and how they got the treatment during pandemic. And among the 2016 women interviewed, there were 870 children who were born after January 2019. That's in the age group less than 2 years. So as you can see, out of 820, it is 26% of the children fell ill during this period. And as you can see, it's around 14% in rural and 13% in urban. Not much difference is there. And when coming to the actual the disease, what they experienced, it's the cough and cold and fever are the more common ill health experienced by the women, children below 2 years. It's 16% of them faced cough and cold and 14% in fever. It's slightly higher in rural area than in urban area. And other than cough and cold and fever, it is the diarrhea just 3% and jaundice 1.5%. But more important here is the COVID-19 cases. None of these 870 children got COVID-19. That's during during this period. These are the children below 2 years. They didn't experience COVID-19. That's the good thing. But among these 226 children, almost all children except one child of Patna, that is in Bihar, did not get the treatment, and because of the COVID-19 the family did not allow them to go to the hospital. But out of except one child, all 225 children got the treatment even though the pandemic was there. And that's the good indication that a pandemic didn't hamper that getting treatment for the child health. And about current status, almost all 93%, 94, 93% cured, because most of them they cough, cold and fever, and 5% just still they were suffering. only 2% of the children, the condition was little serious to tackle. And this is very interesting place of treatment, like in our all earlier surveys done on our level or at the DHS level, mostly for the treatment child health, the people approach the public hospitals. But during pandemic, you can see the major proportion of the family members, 68% of the women or the mothers or family members took the children to the private health facility. Getting private public health facilities treatment is just 31%. And in urban area, it is more of private hospitals. 73% of the children were taken to the private hospitals. And in rural areas, it is 66%. So this is the issue, what we observed during pandemic, that is almost all children took to the hospital, even though the problem was just cough, cold and fever, they approached the private hospitals during pandemic, irrespective of rural and urban. So getting this public hospital treatment is more in Pulwama, especially among all the 4 states, and it is lowest in Patna. So the public hospitals were approached more in Jammu Kashmir and less in Bihar. That's the different trend, usually what we observe in other surveys. As most of the children were taken to the private hospital, the proportion of the children got free treatment is very less. It's just 15% of those who have taken to the government hospital got free treatment, and it's 17% in rural and 6% in urban. As the approach was to the private hospital, you can see the amount spent on treatment of child health is little more compared to other studies. It is around 2,200 altogether. You can see in urban it is 4,200. This is because the children were taken to the private hospitals and they could not get the free treatment. On the other hand, they had to spend more amount on the treatment for the children. This is the impact of COVID-19 on getting child health treatment. And for all those children of 225 who approached to the hospital for child health, were asked whether, for the women, whether any difficulties faced during pandemic to get the treatment. And as you can see, it is 14% of the women expressed there were some problem, and it's as high as 21% in urban area, just 12% in rural area. So it says that in urban area, there were more problems, difficulties for getting the treatment for child health when compared to rural area. And all the difficulties were categorized into 3 major categories. That is due to COVID, pandemic, family related, pandemic, facility related, and financial related. As you can see, altogether, it is the 12% of the women expressed. It's the facility related problems. Just 4% of them mentioned that it's family related, and financial related problem was mentioned by just 2%. So none of the women expressed that lack of money is a problem for getting the treatment. In urban area, 21% of the women expressed facility related problems, difficulties in getting the treatment. So again, in rural area, all facility related, family related are mentioned problems are less compared to urban area. Now, what exactly the problems were faced? As we know that it's most of the problems faced were facility related, and you can see that mostly it is the long waiting time, or the stress was there when we have to wait for the facility, or the family members were stressed because there were many COVID-19 protocols were there and staff behaved rudely or badly. So these are the common problems. Mainly it indicates that there was a long waiting time. It's a perception of the mother that the stress was there because of the long waiting time, or the long waiting time was there, or the staff didn't behave properly. Otherwise, telling about the cost as the reason for not getting the treatment or difficulty getting the treatment is very less. Next aspect, we asked for all these 226 children whether any health worker visited them to the household because the child was ill during pandemic. And you can see, surprisingly, this is just 21% of the women answered that none of the frontline workers visited them, and it's 27% in urban and 19% in rural. So, and who all visited them during this period, that is from March 20 to December. You can see it's a large majority of the household visit was done by ASHA worker. As again in ANC also we saw, and contraception also we saw, the role of ASHA seems to be very dominant in approaching these children, small children, young children of 2 years, having ill health during from March to December. So 75% of these children were visited by health worker at their doorstep. And in rural area, it is as high as 80%. In urban, even urban, ASHAs visited their households for the child health problem. It clearly indicates that the ASHAs made a very good role during pandemic. And also when it comes to Anganwadi workers and ANM, it's 38% and ANM 35%. So 1/3 of the children were visited by Anganwadi workers and ANM during pandemic. If they fell ill, it's a good sign in almost all the 4 states covered by us. And we asked, other than household visit, whether we asked the women, she approached ASHA for getting any treatment for this child health. As you can see it, 58% of the women told they contacted ASHA, and 57, just almost all the women got one or the other help from ASHA. So it is 62% in rural and 46% in urban. So rural area, ASHA's role is very more. And we asked what all help she did. Mainly she advised like what all things can be done during cough, cold and fever. And she accompanied the mother and the child to the hospital. So ASHA really helped in getting the child health treatment for the children. And next component is very briefly, I'm covering ICDS utilization, the attending ICDS and getting food from ICDS and consumption of food. And for this component, it is the children below 6 years. So all the children below from 0 to 6 years, even 0 to 3 years children will get the food at their home. So even 0 to 6 years children are covered. Sample size is 1634. And for all these children, it is the ever attended. Just look into this slide, it is ever attended. And you can see that 85% of the children ever attended, 77% got food one or the other time from ICDS, and 72% consumed the food before pandemic. It is before pandemic is March 31st. Before that, it is availability of utilization of services from ICDS. As you can see, it's rural area, ICDS utilization is more compared to urban area. But when we go to this slide, this is utilization of ICDS services during pandemic, that is since March 2020. So for the same 1634 children, the number reduced from 80% to 50%. So 30% of the reduction has taken place for attending the ICDS or getting food from ICDS and taking consumption of food from ICDS. So ultimately, only 56% of the children below 6 years consume the food taken from ICDS. And again, it is rural, it is 64%, it's urban, it's very less. So urban consumption of or attending or getting food is very less. So ICDS services reduced drastically during pandemic. We asked all the women whether the quantity of food provided remained same pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Quality of food remains same pre-pandemic and post, and other health services remain same in Anganwadi centers. But whoever attended, they expressed that 65% told, quantity also, the 62% mentioned, quantity of food remains same, and 63% remained, quality remains same, and 65% told other services also remained same. But you can see here, urban, the perception of women is the quantity, quality of food and other services remained same in urban, but somewhat deteriorated more in rural area. But you can see from the previous slide, the reduction of availability of services reduced drastically in urban area. But whoever have approached ICDS, they felt that the services they have got from ICDS is up to the mark or same as that of previous to the pre-pandemic period. So those who have approached have mentioned that the services as such relating to quality of food, quantity of food and other services remained same, but the services reduced. When we ask the children why they never attended ICDS services, this is very important that 60% of the children never attended because they think that the age group is very small and most of them are less than 3 years. So mostly 3 to 6 years children were going to ICDS centers before pandemic. But now this is during pandemic time, why they didn't attend is fear of getting COVID is like 43%. So 43% of the women who were sending their children earlier didn't send their children to the Anganwadi centers during COVID, fear of getting COVID-19. They get the food from their at Anganwadi center or at home. They also felt that the food quality is good, quantity is good, but they didn't send the children to the Anganwadi center because of getting COVID-19. So summarizing that one, I just want to say just cough, cold and fever were the most common diseases the children experienced during this pandemic, and luckily no child from all the 4 states got COVID-19. And very good indication, almost all children got the treatment, they were cured and all in a good status. And but free treatment or getting the treatment from public hospital is very less. So the parents take care of their children. During pandemic especially, they approach the private hospitals. They spent more money on the child health, not bothered to spend money, got the treatment from private hospital. And very few women experienced difficulties in getting treatment, and most of the difficulties were like long waiting time or the stress because of the long waiting time that they were in the hospital, they may get COVID-19, all such facility related problems they experienced. And most of the children got home visits by ASHA or ANM or Anganwadi worker, mainly by ASHA worker. It is 80% of the ASHAs attended the households. And ICDS services reduced during pandemic more in urban area in all the 4 states. But whoever has attended ICDS wholeheartedly, they say that the majority where the food quality was good and quantity was the same, and also other services are not affected because of pandemic. So looking into the slides, what I can say is, as such, the child health services are not affected. ICDS services were also available during pandemic, but the parents were hesitant to get the services from public health facility. That's why they approached private hospitals for the ill health. And also they didn't send the children to the Anganwadi centers, even though the Anganwadi centers were open in their villages. So that's the thing on child health and Anganwadi centers during pandemic. Thank you so much.
Sir, please unmute yourself, Professor Nagarajan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Jyoti, for giving a lot of insights related to ICDS functioning during the COVID, and you have given a lot of insights. Thank you very much for that. And on the whole, I would like to thank the entire PRC team and Professor Usharam for coming out with the preliminary findings of this study in a very quick time. You just recently completed your field work and you have presented the findings now, preliminary findings. But these preliminary findings itself throws a lot of interesting insights related to COVID. And I'm seeing a lot of both demand and supply factors were working. And even during the COVID time, health workers delivered the services. So a lot of interesting insights. So we will discuss these interesting findings later. But now I call upon our discussion, Professor Dhananjay Bansod, to give his report on the papers. Professor Dhananjay, you are there?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so please take 5 minutes, and then we'll have some time for discussion.
I'll be very brief. At the outset, let me congratulate all the PRC colleagues for bringing out the very good studies. That is the utilization of RC services during the pandemic period. And the most importantly, I also, because this is my thing that I should congratulate Madam Usharam for bringing out all the PRC colleagues together and working on this common theme and bringing out with a very good quality papers. And this is a very good study. And as ma'am said that because they have worked both the qualitative as well as the quantitative data they have collected, but because of the short duration, they could not present the qualitative information here. But whatever the information they put it or they presented here is really absolutely very good, and it will definitely will have some kind of policy implications. And I hope that this kind of studies should be there. And this will not only help the PRCs to strengthen the PRC people, as well as also to support the government to formulate the different policies. So I'll just briefly one or two comments on the different topics, like like Bashi Bhatt's paper. So he has talked about the ANC services and all, and it's good thing that overall comment just I'll give you, because he have put it all kinds of services like ANC services, postnatal care services, immunizations and all. But I feel that there should one column should be added besides the all columns, so that to compare with the NFHS findings, whether our study, how far it is related or how far it is comparable to the NFHS or lying with the NFHS, where we are standing at our this primary study. So I feel if you are adding this additional column, that will give the additional strength to this particular study. Anyway, the qualitative inputs will also be there, but I feel that is important thing, one should add it. And in the natal and postnatal care presentations, they have mentioned that in one table mentioned that abortion, stillbirth and live birth, and it was showing very, very high. I'm not sure why the abortions, stillbirths and stillbirths are showing very, very high. I'm not getting that particular slides because the presentation showed that even 50% live birth and rest 50% abortions and stillbirth. So please, maybe because maybe I have not understood properly. So that was, I feel that there was some kind of things. So that was the thing I thought, okay, just to flag it out. And for delivery complication and postnatal delivery, here it is showing while presenting this delivery complication and post-delivery complications. So have you come across any kind of accessibility issues? Because during this pandemic, complications will be there. So that anyway, maybe happen, may not happen, but to get services or to get the healthcare services, whether do you face any kind of accessibility issues? Because this is a pandemic, everywhere lockdowns and all. So if that kind of information is there, so it will be very helpful for this study. And for JSY, so in this particular JSY case, it is mentioned that stillbirth, it was 10%. They also received the JSY benefit for the stillbirth. And in urban areas, no benefit they received for the stillbirth, but in rural areas, 13% of the women received some kind of benefit. So I'm not sure why there is a discrepancy, urban and rural, or whether during the stillbirth they supposed to get it or not. So I'm not clear about these issues. So if anything, please clarify in the paper. So why it is so? Because urban areas there is no, and rural areas it is 13%. And related to family planning paper, so it's a very good thing, and we also, because as a demographer, we also feel that during this pandemic or during this lockdown, people will be, all the couples will be at home, and they may not be accessible for family planning services and all. So we feel that in future, like after the World War II, there was a baby boom. So similar boom will be there in India or different parts of the country. So similar, can you ever experience a similar kind of things in your study? Because here it is showing that current use was just 54%. So have you come across this kind of informations that during the pandemic, they did not get the facilities or family planning services because of this problem? And one thing that I'm not sure, they should say that they received the information or the services through friends and family. So what is that I'm not sure from friends and the husbands, what kind of information they received or what kind of services they family planning services they received from the friend, either from the friends or from the husband. So that is, I'm not sure what is that. So can you please clarify on this particular issue? And the last one is that child immunization related is really good. And I'm really happy that the ma'am said, Jyoti ma'am said that during this pandemic, whatever the children fall ill or whatever problems these children face, but they all received the treatment. That is a very good part of the study, that almost all the children received the treatment even during this pandemic. And the two-third of the children, they receive treatment from the private hospitals than the public, because everybody knows that these COVID care centers and all these things, most of the things will be there in the public sector. So that's what even family members, even we also feel that instead of going to the public, we should go to the private and get our children's treatment. So one thing I would like to ask here, because the amount spent for the treatment is in the private hospital, it's 4,000 and add. So that is for per treatment or it's on an average? Because the amount is set is very high, and you have, as you mentioned in the first slide, it is for fever and cold and cough. And for cold and cough and fever, if you are spending 4,000 and add, that is too high. So can you please clarify on this issue? Otherwise, all the presenters are very good. They have presented their findings very well. And I must congratulate all the PRC's colleagues as well as Usha ma'am for bringing out the excellent studies. And because since I was also the part of PRC and the PRCs are very close to my heart, I should also congratulate all the PRC colleagues and members. And I feel that in future also this kind of collaboration should be there, and we should also come up with the joint venture. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dhananjay. Now, Professor Dhananjay has, I mean, if anybody wants to reply to Dr. Dhananjay, please be quick, because we will ask others also to ask the questions. So, so anybody wants to, from your side, presenter's side, to reply to Dhananjay.
Yeah, hello, sir. This is Dr. Sri Prasad from PRC Dharwad.
Yes, Dr. Sri Prasad. Go ahead.
Actually, it was, abortion 95%, stillbirth 88%, live birth 90%. It was not the actually proportion, but the thing was that 95% of the aborted cases, 88% of stillbirth, and 90% of live birth had postnatal checkup from a doctor. That was what we meant actually. It was not the actual proportion. Sir, hope you got my idea.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just say something?
Yes, Professor Basit, go ahead.
Yeah, so far as the comparison with the NFHS is concerned, probably we have an agreement among the team members that we would be comparing it with the NFHS 4 or NFHS 5, whatever the results will be available with us in the May report. Thank you.
Yes, comparison with NFHS will give you more insight, and you can separate out how much is attributed to COVID also. That's good. So anybody else wants to respond? If nobody else, then we can.
Yes, sir. I am Deepak from PRC Guwahati.
Yes, Deepak, go ahead.
Is currently over 54% at the time of the pandemic. The shops, the hospital, and all the institution facilities are closed. Due to the reasons, the current users may be 54%. And another question is there. That is the source of. I think this is the source of specimen during pandemic. So 1/3 of the women actually they got their contraceptive from husband and friends, because they cannot go to the outside, and their relatives, their nearby relatives or husband, they collect it and if some they collected from the ASAs also. So this is my answer. That is, 100 women reported that they got the contraceptive method from husband or ASAs or other friends.
Okay.
About the cost of treatment, it is not for just one visit. It's all together the amount spent, including everything. It is not just hospital. All expenses for throughout from illness to getting cured. So it's 2,200 altogether.
Okay. So if everyone, I think everyone has answered. Now we can open to the floor for comments and suggestions and any questions. So I request if anybody would like to ask any question or would like to give a comment, please come forward. You just unmute yourself and you can come, or you can put your question in the chat box. You can put your question in the chat box, so we will address.
Nagarajan, whether the attendees can unmute themselves?
No, I think that control is not there. That's why I'm saying that.
That is why you can't get the question, right? So they only have to type in.
There is a question here.
There is a question in the chat box.
Yeah.
I read? Yeah. You can see?
Yeah, you can see.
The question is from Dr. Suresh Sharma. Attendee, please use chat option. In chat option, all panelists.
Yeah, so please, please read the questions if anybody wants to answer that.
Sir, there is a 2 questions.
Yeah.
One from Suresh Sharma. I have pasted in the chat option. During the lockdown period, it was, And second is from Pradeep Salve. Can there be comparison? So I have dropped that question in the chat.
I think, hope all of you can read the questions, no?
All panelists will be read the question.
Yeah.
So now you can, if anybody wants to reply to that, you please.
Jyoti, the first question is related to your section. Do you want to respond to Suresh's question?
Yeah. About the food social security packages given by thing. As such, we have not asked directly about the social security packages, but it is only about for the children and for the pregnant women and delivered women. We asked whether they received the food from Anganwadi centers, either to their home or at Anganwadi center. And we asked, is there any change in the quantity and quality and other services? But there was no direct question on social security. As the topic was relating to RCH services, we try to concentrate more on RCH services, but definitely we asked about the food security available in Anganwadi centers.
For the second question from Pradeep Salve.
Yeah.
Yes, Pradeep, eventually we would be making a comparative analysis of face-to-face interviews versus telephonic interviews, but not in the report, but subsequently in our research papers. Thank you.
Yeah, that's even I too was having that suggestion to you.
Absolutely.
Pradeep, thanks Pradeep for raising that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So anybody else, if only 2 questions, if there are any additional questions, please put your questions in the chat box. Okay, if there are no questions, I think we can go for the conclusion of this session, because there is another session must have already started, the plenary session. Some of us would like to attend that. So really, I mean, I congratulate all of you for taking up this study during the difficult time and even testing different methodologies of, telephonic interview plus face-to-face interview you have done. But a lot of positive things have emerged from this during the COVID time, how the health workers have delivered the services. A lot of, I mean, I'm not going through the individual figures, but there are a lot of things have come out. And there are also, some people did not obtain the service due to the COVID. So that is also giving a concern for us. And really, I thank all of you for doing this wonderful exercise jointly. And hopefully this will result in some report and some publications. So I wish you all the best for that. So you will bring out those reports. We expect that in future. So thank you very much for all of you. And I personally thank all the presenters, my colleagues, former colleagues, Dr. Bashir Bhatt and Dr. Sri Prasad and Dr. Deepak Das and Dr. Dilip Kumar and Dr. Jyoti Halle. Thank you so much. And really, it gives me an immense pleasure that I'm also part of this exercise. Thank you all. If you want to say anything before concluding, if you want to say anything, the paper presenters.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank First Ministry for allowing all the PRCs to take up this project, sir. And then we are grateful to Director IAPS and Professor Usha Ram and Dr. Manas for coordinating from June. From last 9 months, they are really struggling hard to coordinate each one of us. And because of them, we are in this shape. At least these presentations could happen. And I'm very happy to announce that this venture we are taking it to the next year. Also, we have proposed one study, and in that 13 PRCs are coming forward to work. So because of ministry and because of IPS and because of Usha Ram, the first time we got the opportunity to work with IPS and all the PRCs together. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think this is leading to another bigger, collaborative study. That is nice to hear that. Yeah. Professor Basir, want to say something?
Okay, sir. That is a good opportunity to us. This is COVID period is a very serious thing, but we have come together. That is the benefit of COVID. You have got it. Thanks to Usha ji, directors, all together. And firstly, I've seen the Professor Nagarajan here. That's a great thing. Thank you.
I just joined Professor Jyoti in extending our congratulations to IAPS and to Shri and to Professor Usha for her untiring efforts whole day and night and for making this whole project a success. And within no time she was in a position to make this these all presentations, giving them a shape and making this seminar a very success. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Basir. So I think now it's time to, if anybody wants to say anything, please.
I'd like to thank the chairperson and discussant and our very dear new entrant, Suresh, for being partner with this effort in the form of the session today. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Usha Ram, for leading this team for this work. So thank you so much. And now we will close the session. Thank you so much once again. Yeah.